Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for October 18th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 25 live feeds. It was day 77 in the house, and we had some more campaigning, some more complaining, that's really it. There's not a lot else from yesterday, but with me to talk through it all is Maggie. How you doing, Maggie?
Hi, Taran. I can't believe that we still have 8 people left in the house. And you said what day 70. Like it's a lot. And even with 8 people in the house, the day was pretty quiet. So, I mean, not quiet, but like not a lot of game movement going on. So, yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
All right. Well, of course, Jag is the not so invisible HOH. He nominated Blue and Felicia, then used both vetoes that he and Blue won to replace both nominees with Cirie and America. Cirie being the target, America being annoyed. America does finally start to get to some more campaigning today. She starts with Blue. It's your typical sort of conversation with Blue where it's like, yeah, we're frenemies. And I'm going to be very nice to you in this conversation, even though I hate you. America says that she's targeting Matt and Jag, but that if she needed a replacement nominee, she's not going to lie, it'd probably be Blue or maybe Bowie or something. And Blue's like, I respect the honesty, and she gives the same spiel about like how Jared said that that somebody you know is coming for you is better than somebody you don't know is coming for you, which is still the worst logic I've ever heard, and it boggles my mind that she keeps repeating it.
Well, Jared said it, so it must be right in
Yeah.
her mind, right?
There's a funny thing that happens here where Bowie overhears a good portion of this conversation and then runs to Matt and Jag about it. Like, hey, they're talking about like not putting each other up. But then Blue goes and tells them about the conversation. She says, yeah, America said she was putting me up on the blog as the replacement. So screw her.
Yeah, you can just lie. Like, you don't have to say that, like, she could just lie. The problem is America's pissed at Blue because of everything that happened. So, like, it's so yesterday, all like it's been really hard to watch Blue on the feeds the past couple of days. It's been really hard to watch the feeds the past couple of days just because there's like a lot of trash talking going on. And it's trash talking like punching down, which is something that like we never like. We like the trash talking when it's somebody punching up at the people in power. Like that's when the audience can handle it. It's like the rules of comedy, right? If you're doing stand up, you never want to punch down, you want to punch up. And it's a lot of people punching down right now at Cirie and America who are going home. But it's really hard with Blue to listen to it because it's also like pretty illogical. The trash talking that's going on, like the saying, this is the way that it is because I am better at competitions, which I mean, last night in the episode, she stayed up there for 2 hours, like it was a very, very impressive showing from Blue. I'm not going to take that away from her, but like the logic is not sound in terms of the trash talking, and it makes you feel like she's on a high horse, and it's just very, very hard to swallow. And it would even be different if like the punching down was logical in terms of like they did this and now they're getting their comeuppance, but it's just very, someone in the chat said it feels very high school, and it does. And right, Big Brother is just an adult version of high school, but it's hard.
I mean, like Blue is like the kid who is picked on by the popular kids. Like she was literally about to be evicted this week.
Mhm.
But then the second they're like, no, actually, you can come with us. She turns to her friend that has also been picked on. Is like, haha, you suck. I'm so much better than you. Uh,
I actually feel like it's such a great example of like how people in like positions in terms of social positioning, how people who are of a lesser social, like lesser in the social hierarchy, how they cling to like any sort of scraps that they can get in terms of like climbing a social ladder, because you're right, she was absolutely on her way out the door. If she had game sense, she would be able to look at it and be like, okay, well, I'm doing what I have to do right now, I'll suck up to them, but the second that something changes, I'm going after them, which absolutely could still happen. Like, I am not taking that away from her. I hope that if she wins an HOH next week, that is something that happens. But right now, listening to her get very personal and say incredibly negative personal things about these people who it's just it's really like, oh my gosh, it just goes to show that people really want to feel included, you know?
Yeah, and every single one of them would probably say coming out of the house like, "Well, we were doing it to fit in. We were doing it to
Mhm.
because the other people were doing it, we felt like we had to." Except if they all say that, then who's really doing it? Because the funniest part of this conversation to me was Blue just so condescending to America. She's like, "Listen, I see the potential in you. I really do. I think you have potential in this game, America."
I think I hope, that when she comes out, she can look back on some of these conversations and perhaps reconcile and, maybe feel a bit of embarrassment, because like watching, knowing what we know about the gameplay and the position that she was in this week, it's cringe. It's a cringy conversation. It's tough.
Yeah. Well, it gets worse because
Hmm.
Cirie is gonna go upstairs to talk to Matt and Jag, who are busy with their own Corey and America bashing session. Matt and Jag, if you're wondering what they're doing throughout the day, they're being mad that America is mad. That is what they're up to. And Matt says that she should grow up, that Corey is acting more mature than his older girlfriend. And he says that she's made some real life comments that he doesn't like. She gives off cheating vibes in real life.
I actually can't handle that. I straight up, like, I don't wanna engage with that one. I mean, the girl who's been sobbing for 2 days straight, saying that she wants to go home because she feels so guilty that she put her boyfriend in this position, saying that she doesn't wanna be here without him, like, absolutely appears to me to be head over heels, like, "What? What?" It's just unkind. Also, to say you don't like the things that she's been saying that are, personal and outside things, and then to say something like that that's so personal based on nothing.
It's so weird. It's just like, dude, cheating vibes?
I mean,
Like, really?
there's like the insane amount of projection that's
It
going
just
on.
screams like incel. Like, what are we doing?
I, yeah, I mean, and again, I hope that America gets an apology after this, because what on earth? Like, why? What on earth?
um, Anyway, Corey is also gonna be doing some campaigning. He says that, he tells her that, he's gonna talk to Bowie, and he's in the shower when this happens. Uh, don't know why I had to mention that because it was annoying to listen to is why. Um, he tells her that Matt and Jag are pulling an Izzy, that they are basically working with everybody in the house in separate groups. They turned on him when he hadn't even done anything. And she is like trying to reply. Like she's like, well, I did hear that you were doing some things. Like there was a four, like there was some other things happening. And like typical Corey, he just completely glosses over anything that Bowie says to him and just continues on his own thing that he's trying to like he's got his own idea of what he wants to say to Bowie, doesn't listen to Bowie's response to respond to her response and just continues on with his path, which wasn't a bad path. I think comparing them to Izzy, because Bowie had her own sort of relationship with Izzy and history with
Mhm.
Izzy, it was having an impact. And he's saying like, they're gonna take out the biggest comp threats. So it's me right now. They're gonna have to take out Blue still. They're gonna have to take out you. They're gonna go to the end with like Cirie and Felicia. Like that's probably what they're planning to do. And this is all true information, and it's all stuff that Bowie should want to hear. He talks a lot about how like if he leaves, he wants America or Bowie to win the game, and it's like this is all like true information stuff. He was wanting to work with her, he just was bad at it. He did get just like betrayed by them because they are playing everybody in the house. They are trying to work with everybody in the house. They are pulling in Izzy. And Bowie shouldn't trust them or want to work with them until the end game. And Bowie is kind of hearing this. She's definitely like a little bit like, whoa, this is a lot. Um, but the problem is that Corey has been so discredited already.
Mhm.
Like a month ago, he was discredited. And anytime that Bowie starts to bring up part of the reasons why she feels he was discredited, he ignores her and continues what he was pitching.
I think that this is also, like, the only way to fix this, right, is to go back in time and have spent more time with Bowie, and he was getting into a relationship. So that's the biggest, I mean, how many times can we talk about showmances and their positives and negatives? But, like, I do think that the biggest negative to being in a showmance is that it takes up a lot of your time, and you just can't maintain credibility and relationships in the same way that you did before because your time is being spent getting to know somebody else and being in a relationship with somebody else. Um, I also just wanted to talk about I just feel socially so I was on the round table this week and we talked so much about how we gave Cirie great scores and talked about how she's just like socially god tier. And I think that everything that we've talked about so far in the update just shows why she's running circles socially around these people because Corey has great points, but he can't read socially the way that Bowie is feeling. So he's missing the mark. Jag and Matt are upstairs trying to relieve their guilt and they can't put themselves in the position to be like, she's mad and she's allowed to be mad. Let's just work from that place and figure out how to navigate this. And Cirie is sitting outside during all this saying, all of them fake. Every last one of them. I can't handle it. Like Cirie is the first person to quickly remind people that they're all playing a game and that they're doing the same thing. And everybody else in the house right now, what we're talking about and the reason that they're fumbling strategically and the big issues that they're running into are the fact that they socially can't read the other people in the house the way that they need to.
Yeah, and doing an excellent job of it for Cerise. She's fully has Matt and Jag convinced that she's agrees with them to the point that Matt feels comfortable talking about cheating vibes in front of Cerise. But then Cerise will be talking with Corey and America about how boring and annoying Matt and Jag are.
Mhm.
And to the point that Corey in this conversation with Bowie is protecting Cerie. He tells Bowie about Path to Power, and he's like, "Yeah, I played Path to Power. Matt played it. Jag played it." Doesn't mention Cerie. Bowie, who knows Cerie played, is like, "Oh, and Cerie too." And he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who knows
Mhm.
about." Like he's actively trying to protect Cerie because he fully believes that Cerie's on his side. Meanwhile, Cerie is like the person shutting down any attempt at keeping Corey. And so just again, definitely great work here. Corey makes this attempt again. It does partially get into Bowie's head. Definitely does. She goes and talks to Felicia afterward because part of what Corey said to Bowie was that Felicia, like the thing that clicked in his head was that Felicia's talking about how she's now in a group with Matt and Jag. And so Bowie goes right to Felicia after this conversation, pretty much, and and asks Felicia, like, "Hey, I just talked to Corey. Like, how are you feeling about everything?" And Felicia doesn't really give her much. It's like, but it's clear though that Bowie felt something about this conversation, felt like she wanted to investigate to some degree. She's going to continue to stew on this for a while, and then later talk to Matt and Jag about it, who are of course going to deny everything. But it there was a little crack there. In the meantime, Corey then goes to Felicia and says, "Hey, so I talked to Bowie, and here's what I think we should do. I think that we need to convince her that Matt and Jag are being Izzy. We need to flip her against them because you know, she just thinks that she's working with them, but they're working with everybody. And so he tries to get Felicia to corroborate this story. Of course, Felicia immediately tells Blue and Matt and Jag about this. And so they have extra ammunition when Bowie does come to them to say, "Oh no, this is a whole plot set in motion by Corey," and completely sort of like dismantles this entire thing.
I also love that they're saying Matt and Jag, or that Corey is saying Matt and Jag are being Izzy when, like, it was Cirie.
It was Therese, but she's convinced them that it was Izzy. I
Everyone's
mean,
convinced
to
it
be
was
fair to
Izzy.
Izzy, she was also a part of it for sure.
1000%, but it was
But
a
it's
three-headed
funny.
monster. Yeah.
It's funny that it has all fallen on Izzy. Like Cerie was this innocent, like,
Yeah.
oh, what?
Well, she's our mother.
Like, how did that work? It's freaking Cerie Fields.
I mean, mwah, so good.
Um, Another interesting thing though that Corey points out to Felicia is that he says, and this is a line that is somewhat common in the fan base. If you have to rely on competitions, you're doing something wrong, and that's Matt and Jag's entire game.
Mhm.
And we have to operate differently in this game. And so this might be an indication of where Corey is currently leaning when it comes to jury votes.
And,
Um,
honestly, I think that the just the sentiment of if you have to rely on competitions, you're doing something wrong, but also the sentiment of we didn't have that luxury and look at all of the hard work we had to do is something that I do think will really resonate with the jury overall. Somebody like Felicia or, Bowie or, I think that the people who didn't really have the ability to win the competitions, somebody validating your feelings. I mean, like, well, we had to work 10 times harder because we couldn't just win out. So why would we reward the person who could just win out when there's somebody who had to work 10 times harder there? I do think that that could be incredibly effective in a jury roundtable type
yes.
scenario.
Now it's of course worth noting that this is a line of argument that might be how he's feeling right now because this is his peak upset at what's
Mhm.
happening. He might change that tune later on, but it's worth pointing out that like he is already using this kind of rhetoric. Later in the day, he talks to America, who says, "I understand bitter juries now, because I'm going to be holding on to this for 21 days. Believe
Oh,
me."
yeah. Oh, yeah. She will never forget. She will not. I think that I mean, I don't wanna move forward and predict. Who knows the way that this game is gonna twist and turn. I think that if America gets her revenge on one person this week or next, the specifically Jag, like, I think that Matt could fade into, America not wanting to get revenge on him as much. But I do think that Jag is never getting that jury vote. I think she would vote for Blue over Jag at the way that she's feeling this current moment.
Yes, if she was voting right now, that would,
Yeah.
I think, certainly be the case. But I think especially because both Corey and America are such big fans of the show, they are
Mhm.
much more likely to like swallow that and then vote however the consensus is or like whatever it's like the moment is feeling. But yes, right now they are certainly both indicating that they are not loving the idea of voting for either one of them. Um, so, uh, America also talks to Bowie. She tells Bowie she's going after Matt and Jag. She thinks the women should work together. Bowie's going to rat this out to Matt and Jag as well. When Bowie talks to Matt and Jag about what Corey and America said to them, Jag says it's all bullshit. That none of that is true. And he's just trying to make everyone scared. And Bowie says, "Oh, I'm not scared. I'm sticking to the 3." That's I mean, it was a lot longer of a conversation than that, but that's really the distillation of the entire thing.
Thank you for truncating that for us.
Um, Matt and Jag, in the meantime, they're still very mad at America because America's mad at them. She can't even be in the same room as me, says Jag. Matt says, foul. Matt says, well, we should at least get a laugh out of it and just sit near her. Like, look, you've got a whole other week of this superstar.
Okay, do it. Go. Go sit with her. Why, are you scared? You don't wanna do that? Why are you hiding in the HOH room and the have not room? You don't wanna go? Say, I invite them to do that. I actually think it would be fun feeds.
These men are so bothered by a woman that just like doesn't care about them anymore. Like just like is mad at them. Like they're just so like the fact that she's not just like, "Oh, thank you, sir. Can I have some more blindside on me?" They're like,
Mhm.
This is just the worst thing in the world. She's a terrible person."
Yeah, and like I said, they're really talking a big game about, "Oh, well, we should just go and show her that, she can't be mad at us and we're gonna sit with her." Like, okay, go for it. Because the way that I have been watching this, I think 2 people are a little scared to be around her because they don't wanna be disrespected.
They no, they'd
Air
prefer to
quotes.
just sit in their little circles of people that are validating them because they have a bunch of power in the game because the competitions are all physical. Um,
Mhm.
Cirie talks to America,
All day,
and
in and out. I love what Suri has been doing. It's
Mhm.
such great work. Oh, every single conversation that I watched with them, I was like, "Oh my god, this is such good work."
they they bond over not really wanting to be there as badly
Mhm.
as others because America recognize she's like, I want to be here, but I know Corey wants to be here a lot more than I do, and that's what makes me feel so bad. And Cirie's like, that's how I felt with Izzy. Like,
Mhm.
and I felt so bad because I knew she wanted to be here more than me. And afterward, I didn't even want to get out of bed. And America's like, yes. And America says, because they had a moment earlier where Corey told her that he wanted to leave his robe and his pink hat behind for her, and she cried, and she was like, and she tells Cirie about it, and Cirie's like, "Oh, that's the stuff that just makes me want to cry," which is like again, a few hours ago, she was in the conversation where they were bashing Corey in America. Um, Cirie is like, "I applaud you for speaking your mind to Jag, with the off. But I also advise she advises her on like how to handle the 2 of them in the future about like
Mhm.
expressing how she feels and trying to also move forward in the game." And America is like, "Oh, we noticed you earlier when you were talking to Matt and Jag, like trying to pretend you were interested in their stories." And Siri's like, "Oh, I was too obvious." And they're laughing together.
So good. I mean, it's just the social work is out of this world. Like, we literally in real time are watching Suri just envelop America into her mist. I mean, if America does win an HOH next week or the week after, we're gonna have to call her America Fields. With the absence of Corey, Suri is gonna be able to already she's starting to scoop her up so fast. And there's just a lot of and it's amazing because they have not really interacted like this in 77 days. Like, they always at the top of the game when watching feeds, those first couple of weeks, the big issue was the disconnect for America and Suri to like chat. They just couldn't really connect game wise. And we're watching Suri, bandage America's wounds and kiss her on the forehead and be like, "Come with me." It's so good. It's so good.
Mhm. So Cirie is also gonna have a conversation with Felicia later into the night. She's just, checking in with Felicia, making sure Felicia's still good with everything. She says that everyone thinks they're rocking with Matt and Jag. We have to get them out. We can't let them get to the end. We won't be able to beat them. And Felicia's like, well, we'll have a good chance to beat them at the end game comps because they're mental. And Cirie's like, I don't think so though. Like, Isn't that final three like an endurance thing? And Felicia's like, yeah, but then it's mental. It's a 3-part thing, and the final part is mental, so we'll be able to beat them at that. And Cirie's like, okay, different tactic. They're so cocky, though. They think they
Mm.
have us hook, line, and sinker, don't you think? And Felicia's like, yeah, it's so annoying. They think they can beat us, so we're just gonna have to beat them. Final four, final five at those mental comps that come up at the final four and the final five. And it's just like, now I've seen a lot of people, and first of all, this was also a very hard conversation to listen to because they whisper so quietly. But I've seen a lot of people like, oh, I can't believe Felicia still trusts Matt and Jag. I can't believe she still wants to go to the end with Matt and Jag. I don't think that's what she's saying here. I think that what Felicia is saying is more so like, you know, those are the competitions that we will be able to beat them in.
Mhm.
We probably won't be able to get them out prior to that. So worst case scenario, we make it to the final four, the final five, and those are the end game competitions that we will be able to win and beat them. We can take them out at 4, we can take them out at 3, we can take them out when we win those mental end game competitions. Of course, we know that those competitions are not coming up. That the final four competition that had historically been mental, and that theoretically anybody could win, has turned into something that is like ridiculously physical for no reason. Like,
Mhm.
in order to answer this quiz question, run a hamster wheel 50 times, or like like do a swing a baseball bat 11 times. Like, it's just like they're not going to win those comps. It's just not going to happen. And they can't win part 1 or part 2 of these competitions unless they're both there. So it's like it's a trap. It's a trap that Big Brother production has laid for the last like 6 years. For ever since Big Brother 19, and really maybe even 18, but even 18 was like okay. But it's, after 17 they changed the final, or maybe it was 19 the first one. No, I think it was 20 the first, but the 19, the end game competitions, they were all won by Josh and Paul. It's just Josh and Paul just won all the end game competitions. 20. Tyler,
Casey.
Casey, Angela won all the endgame. The fact that JC won the one What the Bleep comp was like, whoa! 21, Cliff and Nicole. They think that they'll be able to win endgame competitions. We think that they're going to be able to win endgame competitions, but they can't. They're completely outclassed by Jackson and Holly. 22. It's
We
the
all
committee.
remember.
Enough
We all
said.
remember that final 3 with Cody and Enzo.
23, Xavier and Kylan dominate the endgame competitions. 24, Monty dominates the endgame competitions. Like, it's been happening for the last, since 19. But Big Brother, the concept, it makes no sense. It's such a disconnect. It's such a juxtaposition of just like, no, this is how Big Brother works. Anybody can win endgame competition. The default is that you think it's fair, and the people in the house think it will be fair, and they fall into the trap of thinking, oh yeah, it'll be fair, but it's not fair. And every single season since this change has resulted in the exact same thing happening. And here they are.
Yeah, it sucks. I wish I had my advice to anyone who is going on the show or has a loved one going on the show. Learn about the endgame competitions, and that pre-jury, get out those people that can win those endgame competitions. Give yourself a fighting chance if you are not a physical competitor. It's my advice.
And like the frustrating thing for me is what it's turned the game into, where it's just like, instead of, because Big Brother prior to this change was all about getting people to the end that you trusted, that like you could rely on, that like would take you to the end. You've convinced
Mhm.
them to take you to the end, despite the fact that maybe you win over them, right? Like the fact that the part 3 of the final 3 HOH was a crapshoot was like, I can't rely on the competitions in the end game. I need to make sure that I'm with people that will take me either way. What the game has become is, screw the social game, screw even jury management, because as long as I win enough competitions, they'll vote for me anyway.
Mhm.
Screw everything else. I'm just taking the least physical people to the end so that I can just completely comp out. And as long as I, bring enough of them to the end, then I win. As long as I don't make a bad mistake, like bringing Taylor to the final two, or
Mhm.
being so terrible to the jury that they vote for Josh over you. As long as you don't make these very obvious mistakes, then you win. It's that easy.
Yeah. It sucks. I hope that things work in our favor this season so that we don't have to keep talking about these competitions because it's so frustrating.
Well, anything else you wanted to bring up, Maggie?
Um, no, I don't think so. Just that Cirie is, I mean, she's magic in there socially. And if you're not watching the feeds, like I suggest you take a second and over the next couple of days watch some of the conversations that Cirie has been having so that you understand fully the mist. It's just it's unbelievable to me to watch happen. It's Big Brother in action. And the thing that's frustrating about the rant Taran just went on is like that's Big Brother in action, and yet the Big Brother that we're probably going to receive this season is competitions dominating everything. And it's so frustrating when you have players who are really, really great at what Big Brother actually is, just straight up unable to have a fighting chance because of this change in format of the competitions. That's super frustrating. But while she's here doing good work, and I said it on the roundtable, and I believe it. I think Cirie's gonna pull off a move down the stretch here with one of these fields that she has in her control, whether it's Matt or Blue or America now coming down the pipe. I think that there's going to be something really exciting that she's able to do because of this social play that she has. And yeah.
Yeah, and there are still I did love the end of last season in the sense that we've talked about this before. Like, all hope was lost,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
Taylor is able to convince Monty that she should be brought to the end, in part because of the structure of the game and that she
Mhm.
hadn't won as many comps as Turner, and so they thought that she was less valuable in amongst other things. And so there are possibilities for this to be overturned, and that is exciting. My issue with it is just it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same every
Yeah, and
season.
it's yeah, exactly. And the switch up is the move. And that's the problem that I have. Now we're, besides the point and we'll wrap up. But that's my issue that I also have with Survivor Endgame is that it's
Mhm.
like what are we even doing here? Like this does you have to make a move at final 7 otherwise you're done. Like that's the end. Once final 6, final 7 happens, we know what's about to happen moving forward. So I don't that's not quite the case for Big Brother. It's there's still a lot of game left to be played, and the hope is that the competitions are more equitable, or that we get lucky. We as audience get lucky a couple times here, and some competitions shake out in a way that means that some of these people who don't have the ability to win competitions still have a fighting chance.
All right. Well, that's what we have for you today. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the Big Brother 25 live feeds. I'll also be live tonight, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, watching tonight's episode of Survivor. Speaking of, been a great season so far. 90 minutes have been excellent. So tune in, watch with me live. And then, of course, tomorrow we will have an eviction where we will likely see Corey leave and then crown a new HOH or maybe the same one. We can look
We're not
forward
manifesting
to
that.
that.
I don't know. I feel like I usually have like a good sense of I remember the wall competition coming up. Um Lincoln texted me and was like, "Well, Jared's not going to win, so like we're safe." And I was like, "I don't know about that. I feel like he has a good. I feel like we're about to get a crapshoot, and we could have Jag win a crapshoot 1000%, But I do feel like this is about to be a crapshoot. Fingers crossed. We're
All
due
right.
for one. We're due for one.
All right. Um,
Okay.
Taran is O ye of little faith.
of course, you
Have
can
the
also find
faith
me
of
over
a
on
mustard seed, Taran. The
yes,
faith of a mustard seed.
faith of a mustard seed. You can also find me on Instagram. I just posted the completion of a Slab Lab journey. So head over there if you want to see some climbing. Maggie, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at @MLMorgan_. That's where I am.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here today, and I will see all of you